working with the Fulani agenda back then. I don't know what has changed if that is no longer working, and now we should do restructuring or something else. Rufai, tell us.
Since 1966, successive governments, military and civilian, have entrenched this unitary federalism. The result is predictable. Everyone looks up to Abuja for money, looks downwards for excuses, and sideways for scapegoats to blame. A system that centralizes power but diffuses responsibility will always fail by design. But by design means we can fix it. The third is insecurity and the breakdown of the social contract. Insecurity remains Nigeria's gravest crisis. Insurgency, banditry, kidnappings, and criminal violence have displaced millions and devastated livelihoods. Despite rising security budgets, the state's monopoly of force has weakened. When citizens are compelled to organize their own protection, that is not resilience. It is a vote of no confidence in the Nigerian state. No republic can endure when security becomes a private commodity available only to those who can afford it. The fourth area that is not working is economic hardship and inequality. Nigeria may record GDP growth, and you will hear today from the government representative talking about over 4% projected GDP growth for 2026. But the lived reality is harsh and different from this rosy picture. Poverty remains widespread. Inflation, especially food inflation, has destroyed purchasing power. Policy shocks have accumulated without buffers. What distinguishes Nigeria is not hardship alone, but hardship without accountability, where citizens absorb every shock, while public officials and political office holders live extravagantly and with impunity. This breeds anger, and anger, when combined with frustration and hopelessness, is politically dangerous. The fifth area where things aren't working is law, justice, and democratic erosion. The law should protect citizens, not terrify them. Yet, we have seen in Nigeria prolonged detention, selective prosecution, and investigative fishing expeditions that have weakened confidence in the justice system. When law enforcement is weaponized against political competitors, democracy erodes quietly but steadily, and this is what we've seen happening in our country today. The courts remain the last refuge of anyone that feels persecuted. But when justice is doubted, when judges are compromised, the republic itself is weakened. What must change and must stop, I will go into now. If the Fourth Republic is to move beyond mere survival, it must now be judged by outcomes, not longevity. Nigeria must shift from consumption to production, from centralization of power to true federalism, where devolution of power goes to the states and local governments, and from power without responsibility to authority matched with accountability. Specifically, Nigeria must end borrowing for recurrent expenditure and prioritize food security. We must reform the constitution and allow state and community policing. We must devolve resource control and economic authority to the states. For instance, mining and minerals should be devolved to the states because the states control land, among other things. We must also strengthen our institutions through judicial reform and ensure that we have credible elections through an independent, truly independent electoral commission. We must invest seriously in health and education at the lowest levels. And finally, we must restore ethical and competent governance for our politics to have meaning. But reform is not only about what must change, it is also about what must stop. We must stop the weaponization of security agencies, law enforcement, regulatory institutions, and the justice system for regime protection rather than for democratic preservation. Selective enforcement of laws must end. Arrests without evidence must end. Detention before investigation must end. Governing by intimidation rather than institutions must end. So let me conclude, ladies and gentlemen, with this. Nigeria's Fourth Republic has bought us time, but time alone is not legacy. We have the architecture of democracy, but its foundation is cracking under the weight of insecurity, exclusion, and widespread economic hardship. History teaches us a hard lesson that when reform is postponed indefinitely, as we are seeing in Nigeria today, rupture and collapse eventually arrive. The choice before us as politicians is not stability, but reform. It is reform now or instability sooner or later. Nigerians are not lacking intelligence, patriotism, or resilience, so let us not blame Nigerians for the current state of affairs. What Nigerians lack is accountability from those entrusted with power. And as opposition, we are not enemies of the state. We are the conscience of the people. We seek reform, renewal, and a democracy that delivers, not one that survives by coercion and selective persecution. I invite all those who wish Nigeria well to join us in restoring hope, dignity, and progress through reform, through progress, and societal consolidation, not repression, not selective persecution. Thank you very much. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Nuisance lele. Nuisance.
Ẹni òfò ni ẹ ṣòfò láyé ẹ tún ṣe lálìkìyàmà ẹ̀yin rádaràda wọ̀nyí. Ẹni òfò ni ẹ.
Me, I don't know about you. Sure, you get me now. Me, I don't get any forgiving spirit for these characters. I don't have one. So if I have a chance of cursing them, I do it. With my whole chest. And I do so simply because I know them very well. This Kajuru Little Finger, when he was governor of Kaduna State, if you criticize him, they will hunt you down. And I'm talking about hunt you down, lock you up, deny you any form of access to your lawyer or to court. There's a guy called Kefas. I can't remember his first name, by the way, but possibly some of you probably know, right? He's from Kaduna. He was among those who exposed the jihadi Rufai, the Kajuru Little Finger, at the early stage of his governance, as in when he was a governor of Kaduna State. He locked the guy up for nearly a year without any trial or appearing in court. He was that powerful. Now he's talking about, arresting people without a trial or sending people to prison without that stuff. That nonsense he's talking about. The Nigeria is proposing doesn't really exist. Na takia or na nonsense takia. Be mindful. Rufai is talking about resource control. He's talking about empowering the states to man their own resources. Really? Isn't that what the people of Niger Delta have been pushing on forever? A restructured Nigeria will prevent the Fulani terrorists from advancing to anybody's territory. Really, it's not going to happen. But the Fulani terrorists brought to Nigeria by this APC, continued to wreak havoc, kill Nigerians, kidnap some. Like what happened in Kajuru, in Kaduna. That's where he was governor. Southern Kaduna saw hell when this hell of fire, the Kajuru Little Finger was their governor. But today, they all care about Nigeria now. In fact, they are open now to actually agree with us, what a lot of us have been preaching, that they've called us names, this or that. Now they are agreeing with us. You don't have a democracy. You don't have a democracy. You don't have a federal system of government. What you have is a unitary system of government with a center that is so strong and at the same time so vulnerable, incompetent, led by crooks. 177 people were taken, churchgoers from their church on Sunday. And the poor leadership, right? The local government chairman was the first to come out and deny it. And immediately, without any form of confirmation or what have you, right? The state governor denied it. The police commissioner denied it. Only for them to, 3 days later, to now say, oh yeah, it happened. We were misled. It was the chairman. We don't know why he did that. Because they are there to protect the Fulani terrorists. That's why these guys who are holding political offices in northern part of Nigeria, right? Those who are sympathetic to these terrorists, they are in their large numbers. They're not hiding it, sabotaging everyone in this sense. So a local government chairman, Kajuru local government chairman, denied this abduction. And you know what happened? The terrorists went into churches, not just one church. They went into about 2 churches where worshippers were at service. And then they marched them into the forest. Nobody was going after them. Nobody was chasing after them until when those they led into the forest saw an opportunity and they escaped. Now their story is the reason why they now have different security men and what have you in Kajuru right now. And guess what? I still haven't seen any sign that they are looking for those kidnapped. So they said out of 177 they took, 9 or so, 11 or thereabout escaped, and they are telling us now that 166 are still missing. I'm going to take you to the venue, the aftermath of the abduction, the eyewitnesses and what they had to say, and also what happened after too, right? So take a moment if you haven't really liked that the broadcast, you can like the broadcast now. That is your own offering. So watch this. Let's go to Kajuru. In fact, the area is actually called the Kurmi Wali in community in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. This are the makings of the Rufai, the Kaduna little fingers, by the way.
ana dukan yamma da dusan nan kamin mu wuce ma sai kamin mu kubuta can wani gari ne an riga an kore nan ne mun samu muku
Christian Association of Nigeria, supposed member of spokesperson, who had this to say after the incident too. Watch this.
My candid advice is that we must not allow security issues to be politicized. Neither do we come to public space to make statements about security issues that do not help in healing wounds, but further make people to have more reason not to trust us. So I'm advising the police, I'm advising all those who have spoken to be careful. We want to win the trust of Nigeria. We want to win the confidence of Nigerians. I am not sure it's right for us to say things like this in public media. But for avoidance of doubt, if you listen to the local government chairman, he did tactically admit that there were bandits. But he just turned again, and he wasn't talking about kidnap. He talked about hospital. So that shows you that he wasn't really answering the question, because no one was saying someone was in the hospital. We are simply saying that people were in church and were kidnapped. He asked for something, and call him now and again and ask him. He asked that if we have the list. This morning, we have the list of 177 people with him. So we have the list. So let him tell the other one. We have the name of the church. We have the time the incident happened. The police also know that they have the report wired by them. So I'm not sure it is right for security issues to be politicized, because it's like you don't care about the life of the mother of somebody, the father of somebody, the son of somebody, the friend of somebody. I don't want to belong to that. As a pastor and as a Christian, I've said the day I start lying when it has to do with life of individual, I should just hand over my license and stop preaching. So this incident happened. All we want the security agencies to do is to go after them. But to come to the public and start denying, and I don't know who they were referring to as merchants. Sadly, we don't understand. Is it the community people who are merchants? Is it the current chairman of local government who is a merchant? Or are the stakeholders in that place who confirmed that this incident happened that are merchants? Because for us, we are just partners in progress, wanting to help make sure things are done right. And we want to do it with truthfully. We want to do it with integrity. We don't want to join into the politics of lie. Sadly, this report had combination of party issue. I think you shouldn't even have another party speaking now. We're talking about Nigerians that we feel, we know have been taken away. Let's tell our security to go after them. We trust our governor. We appreciate the effort of the security agency in Kaduna State. In the last 1 week, they have actually helped us rescue some of our pastors, rescue even the wife of Venerable this. So we commend them, and we know they can also go after these people and rescue them. But I don't know the politics being played and the denials. This is quite sad. But whoever is asking for list, we have shown them the list.